First up on the agenda, we have the Honolulu Fire Department. Do you have a representative?
Evening.
Good evening.
All right. So we had for August. We had three nuisance fires, 8 activated alarms, 59 medicals, three motor vehicle collisions, and 8 mountain rescues. Um, our fire safety tips and announcements are for evacuation planning. So in the event of an emergency, be prepared with an evacuation plan. Create your plan with all members of your family our household, and keep in mind those with limited abilities, children, elderly, and pets. Identify possible exits and escape routes. Predetermine a safe meeting place. Always choose an escape route that is safest. Think about various scenarios and strategize how to use them. Review and practice your plan often. Assemble an emergency supply kit. Remember to pack important documents, medicines, and necessary pet items. That's actually a really good one, especially if you do need medicines. A lot of people, or a lot of times, people don't pack like a little go kit, but just stuff to get them to their next couple of days. It's pretty hard. Remember to stay calm, stay informed, and stay alert. And if you need any more information, you can visit fire.honolulu.gov. All I got. Quick one today.
Thank you. First off, I'm sorry. Can you just identify yourself? I can see Captain on there, but
Sorry, Captain Villalon.
thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for the captain from the board? Paula.
We went down there one day to the fire station to drop something off, and no one answered the front or the back. Was the first question. Second question is, do you still do blood pressures?
Yes. Sorry.
I assume this is the fire station on
Wiley.
Wiley. Sorry, Captain. Please go ahead.
Well, we're here most of the day, but if we have a call or if we have some other things to do, then we'll be out of the station. So, yeah, sometimes we go outside, but for the most part, we should be back around at some point.
The neighborhood wanted to drop off rice to you folks.
Oh, I appreciate it.
But nobody came from the front or the back.
Yeah, if we aren't here.
Air conditioning was on full blast, so we got tired honking the horn. I hope the school didn't get mad at us, but we try.
Okay, well, we appreciate it.
You deserve to, so.
Thank you. Sorry, I lost track of your second question. Trying to answer your first.
It was about the blood pressure checks.
Oh, yeah, we're still doing that. We kind of stopped during the COVID thing, but we're back up. So come on by, give us a visit.
Thank you.
That again is asking time, or do you have to schedule? Because no one has a telephone number to call you directly without going through 911 or 311.
Oh, you have the station number?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to give it to you. Perfect. I think ours are between 9 and like 4, and just if we're eating, go away and come back after we're done eating.
Do you go to the front or the back? Which do the royalties go to? Front or the back?
If we prefer you came to the back, but if you have trouble walking at all, or if it's something like that, pulling up to the front is absolutely fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we normally park our truck on the Diamond Head side.
Right.
Come by. So if you could park on the Eva side, in front of the Eva side bay door, or out in front of the grass.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from any board members? Okay, Robert.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Captain. I'd just like to ask, and I'm not trying to create more work, but I'd like to ask if in the future when HFD reports on motor vehicle accidents, we can be given the location of the accident so we can keep a tab on the safety of our community, and if any changes need to be made, for example, signage, lights, street conditions. Thank you, Captain.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anybody? Seeing none, thank you very much, Captain. Thank you for your time, and you guys stay safe and keep doing a great job. Thank you.
Yes, appreciate you. Good night.
Good night. Next up, we have Honolulu Police Department from District 1. We have Lieutenant Saducio.
Good evening, Chair Smith and everyone in attendance. Lieutenant Sagusio, representing the Honolulu Police Department, District 1, Community Area of Responsibility. Thank you for your guys' time and patience. The information provided today represents the total amount of cases for your area. For more statistical information, you guys can go to our public website at www.honolulupd.org. The statistical information for the month of August 2023 is as follows. So motor vehicle thefts is down. So we had 3 reported from the previous month was 6. Burglaries, had 3, and from the previous was 0. Thefts was 6, previous was 11. UMVs or car break-ins was 6. Previous to that was 1. Assaults were 2. Previous to that was 0. Sex assault was 1. Previous to that was 1. Graffiti cases was 1. Previous month was 0. And drug offenses were 1 for this month and the previous month. So total calls for service was 681 calls compared to the previous month of 606. So I checked on the categories, the burglary category due to the 3 being reported, but I actually found 4. The last one that I located was of a business. So the commonalities of these burglaries where the suspects were striking between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Unlocked doors and easily opening windows are the entry point of choice. So please lock your doors even when home. Even if you're working in the yard or in the garage, you should be securing your home from people just walking around and prowling for open doors. There were no robberies reported in the month, and there are no criminal breaches other than those that I've related. Touching bases on Mr. Cortero's request to in regards to the disposal dumpsters, Honolulu Disposal. Mr. Cortero, I reached out to my contact over there, emailed him the information that you had provided to me. He responded very quickly, and he's monitoring the location at this point in time. They shouldn't be putting the dumpsters in front of the bus stop anymore. I think what they're doing is they're taking it further down the street to an more kind of an open area on Lusitana to service the dumpsters. I also related that the service times should be a little bit after 6:30. He also related that he would be monitoring with his scout drivers, which is those drivers that those trucks with the forks in the back to try to bring up the dumpsters at a later time. So I hope that helps out with your situation in front of your place. The month of September is the National Suicide Prevention Month. Please be aware of signs of depression and take notice of life triggers that may cause someone to hurt themselves. I'm going to post several numbers in the chat for everyone to see, and have utilized these numbers personally while on the job. And I provided excellent service towards us, proper measures in dealing with someone thinking about suicides. Yeah. The safety tip for the month of September will be pedestrian safety, since we just got done with the last major holiday of Labor Day and the summer vacation is over. There will be more pedestrian traffic in the areas of schools and bus transit areas. We're asking our community members to leave early and to avoid rushing. Rushing causes everyone to become complacent in regards to safety. And drivers, please reduce speed in these areas, in intersections, especially mid-block crosswalks. At this time, I'm going to yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board and the public attendees.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for the lieutenant? Mason. Mason, you're muted.
Hello?
There you go. You're good.
Yeah. I must thank you last night for your officers. They chased some people out of the park at around after midnight. And I watched them from my house, and they took care of that for me. And I would like to thank you, your department, for doing that for us. Appreciate it. And then also now I have people complaining to me about these cars speeding in the neighborhood around the school zone and all over the place. They just, these are people that dropping off kids after school at Po'o Elementary, people going down Kaneali'i, trying to beat the red light on on Po'o Road and Kaneali'i. I mean, there's no need to rush. We have enough accidents already on the highway. Why are these guys speeding? there must be something we can do to control that speeding. You know, I don't understand this. So.
Yeah, so we did recently get in an OIC complaints or an Office of Information and Complaints through the mayor's office in regards to the speeders, Lower Pacific Heights, Paola, Kaniali. So we're assigning some officers to make checks out of that area. Just realize this though, we went to the 313s, so day watch, there's very minimal calls to that area. They're kind of more getting called to the lower part of Makiki in regards to that location. So it's kind of hard for us to monitor it. But during the school hours, we're asking our officers to kind of hang out in that area and just make sure that there's no speeders when the kids get out of school. I assigned a person tonight to make checks, and I'll relate to the officers that went to Booth Park last night to take care of that call because I was working when we got that call, and then my officers went up and took care of it for you, sir.
Yeah, I was watching it, but nobody saw me because all my lights are off, so they can't see, and my windows are tinted. So that's how I catch these guys. They don't see me, but I see them.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. If you get any situations around Booth Park, Mason, just give us a call. We'll send officers there and we'll address it.
I appreciate your help.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, thank you, Lieutenant. Next up, Jill, please.
Sorry about that. My internet's coming in and out. I have two issues. One is regarding the speeding. I actually was almost run off the road on my way up here on Pali Highway, right off Palaimi. Speeding on the Pali is really bad lately, and we can hear them at night racing back and forth, you know, late at night on the Pali as well. But that's one issue I have. And then also we still have a lot of those parked cars up on Henry Street. And there's several of those. And I think that those are still the rentals that we've been dealing with, car rentals.
No problem, Jill. So the Kaimi, near that speeders near Kaimi Street, I'm going to defer that to District 5 to answer because that's on their side of the responsibility location. But in regards to the parking on Henry Street, I can ask my officers to make more checks on that location and then enforce registration and safety check violations in that area. But if it's parked legally, you know, it's pretty much okay to be parked there. But we'll definitely.
Thank you, Lieutenant Suguchio. It's actually Laimi, Laimi.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, got it. So we'll send officers over there and in regards to the speeders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I will add that, so I talked to someone in the mayor's office, and his neighborhood had a lot of trouble with Turo vehicles, which if you're talking about the rental cars, I assume that's what you mean. And he was telling me that his neighborhood was able to successfully get the company itself to deal with it because apparently Turo does have some sort of agreement that they can't be disruptive to their neighborhood. So, I mean, I know that's another step, but if you know, just realize that that option is available, is that you can make a complaint directly to Turo, and his neighborhood did that, and they were successful, and I think actually that's probably a better avenue of success than through the city.
I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Okay, well, I hope that helps. Are there any questions from the other questions from the?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, Robert.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Lieutenant Sagucio. I sincerely appreciate you getting in touch with Honolulu Disposal Service. Unfortunately, so for example, this past Saturday, they showed up because they show up 3 times. One to bring the can out, one to empty the can once it's out, and then another time they come back to put the can back. So the first time they came to pick up the can was at 4:47 a.m. on Saturday. They stayed for less than a minute, and then the pickup truck does the dumping, came by at 5:36 a.m., and they stayed until 5:42. So the truck stayed for 6 minutes, and then the third visit was at 5:58 when they put the can back. So although there's in the law, it's written that they cannot stay any more than 10% in any 20-minute period. That would mean the combined time of all their work cannot take more than 2 minutes. So this was roughly 7 to 8 minutes, and work started at 4:47 a.m. So I appreciate your work. This is a long-standing problem, and what they're reporting to you is not truly being translated in the field. So we'll continue to work on this now as a board, and I'm inviting them to participate in a resolution and with our policymakers so that we can help to relieve you of some of the challenges of having to chase drivers down. But just so that you know, they're not doing what they're reporting to you. They're still, it's a difficult situation. So I appreciate your help, and if there's anything you can do, I would sincerely appreciate it. But so, like I said, what they're doing is not being reported to you correctly. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Yeah, we'll try our best, and then I'll try to monitor the location also. But it's like you said, they service that location 3 times a week, so it's kind of difficult for me to watch them all 5 days because we're only working 3 days out of the 7-day work week. Yeah. But I'll pass that information on to the patrol units in that area.
Thank you. Next up, Phil. Then
Yes,
you.
thank you, Chair. Thank you, Lieutenant Segucio, and thank you, Robert Cotero, for that. I know it's been a while since we've been reporting it on the neighborhood board, and I did the last 2 Saturday mornings. I've witnessed it as well, so I do verify what Robert Cotero is saying about the time frames early before 5 o'clock. The bins are out on the road, and yes, they are right, maybe just feet away from the bus stop, not necessarily right in front, but a few feet away. So I do believe that, over time, we've been continuing talking about this, that, yeah, we definitely would like to take a step further to see. Again, I agree with Robert, or Mr. Cotero, about what can we do to help you so that we can get some progress on this.
Thank you. Next up, Paula. Oh, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. Did you want to respond or?
No, yeah, we'll just continue to monitor it. I apologize. I mean, we're trying our very best. It's just that right at that point in time during those service hours of between 4:45 and 6 o'clock, it's kind of fairly busy for us right at that point in time due to the traffic that's starting to progressively get heavier. We're going to motor vehicle collisions at that point in time, so it's kind of hard for my officers. But we'll keep trying. We'll try to see if we can get a resolution from this.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Paula.
Lieutenant Segucio, I just want to ask for the record exactly what is the speed limit in a school zone during what hours, so that it's posted in our neighborhood board minutes. Many of the parents are speeding to get to school early in the morning so they get the free breakfast. And that's happening regularly, even at Nuuanu. The other thing is schools in our area should be telling the parents in a note and telling them that this is going to be legally watched by the police department. Even my school, it's posted what it is, and the police were there, but the people don't understand, why do I get speeding when I'm only going 20 miles an hour? So if it's posted on each school, because we don't have those, what do they call that, the intermediate between the streets and stuff that I've been asking for from the state for how long, they just can go any direction they want. And if they know what the times are, then it would be better and faster for everyone. If you see it speeding, then you can report it to folks. That's just suggestion, because we went through that with Nuuanu School, and they did make a committee in the school to tell the parents and send out letters. Thank you.
That'd be a great idea, Paula, because just if everyone can realize, right, it's our constituents at this point in time that are the speeders, right? So if they know that they shouldn't be speeding around schools, especially with the kids, going back to school, walking to school, it would be great. So yeah, newsletters through the school would be perfect.
Committees.
Yeah.
I think a traffic committee for the school would be great. Then they might get the idea.
Thank, thank you.
Just suggestions.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions for Lieutenant? Hearing none, thank you very much, Lieutenant Sagasio. I think anyway, thank you very much. We appreciate your service. We appreciate your time tonight, and you're doing an excellent job, and we appreciate the responsiveness, especially. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a great night.
Thank you. Next up, we have further Honolulu Police Department, District 5. I see a representative.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm Lieutenant Keone Hong, representing District 5, Kalihi. Going over the stats for the month of August. Burglaries, we had 5 compared to 4. Motor vehicle thefts, 6 compared to 2. Thefts, I believe both months we had 5. And then car break-ins, we had 18 compared to 4, which is a big jump. So I kind of looked up why. Most of those break-ins were along the Pali at those lookouts. So there must be criminals targeting cars that's parked on the side of the road as people go to the lookouts. But those are spread out over about a 4 or 5 day period, where the most was 5 in one day. So I kind of looked at this one as well. It's still a little bit up. So we're going to work on trying to catch somebody on that. But that's why there's such a steep rise in car breaking. It's kind of toward that certain area. Also, the time element was between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. So that's around the time that area probably gets crowded. But otherwise, I have nothing else to share. If there's any questions, I'm available to answer.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Paula.
I want to know if you could tell us what exactly the policy and procedure is for pigs in your area. Now, the HPD are not the ones, because I went over this last month, but District 5, I don't know, we didn't, only for Pacific Heights, they discussed it. Our chair brought it up, but what is the exact policy so we can have it in our notes for all the people to know what to do? Do you call the HPD, or do you call the pig hunters, or do you do both, or how do you want it handled? Because I know some people say police don't handle it, but the reasons why the police handle it probably are citations for being in private property. I don't know.
Yeah, if it's wild pigs, of course, the police is the easiest people to call, and we'll come out to anything, right? And we're problem solvers, so we'll solve the problem. We need
That's
to.
if they're in danger, right?
Yeah, so if I've been to pig cases too. I used to work in East Honolulu and Palolo Valley. Pigs come into people's yards, or even up here in Kalihi. But if it's wild pigs, then we usually try to cordon them off, contain them somehow, and then we usually call the pig hunters, and somebody would come out and try to remove the pig. Are you talking about like pets?
Pet pigs? I hope not.
What are you talking about? Sorry. Like, what do you
I
mean
don't think we
on pigs?
We already were having pigs in the area, but one police officer said he would tell us the exact policy on who to call at what. And if you folks come, then you would notify DLNR. But then the last time
we would probably call some other agency. We don't have any place to put them. So either Humane Society, the pig hunters, DLNR. See somebody waving their hand in the back, maybe they have an answer. But
so don't call the
what you mean by policy. Yeah.
I think we have a little bit of an answer. Kathy, if you want to take it, because I know you were involved in.
Well, it was just in the paper, I believe, today or yesterday, that you do not call HPD, you call DLNR.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that. I think,
is there a number? Is there a number for that to call?
I'm sure.
No, there is. They only have one central Oahu location, administrative location. So I don't know the number off the top of my head, but if you look up DLNR, it's only one number to call them. And that was the policy that was distributed to us in Pacific Heights.
And then
Or
I
both
think
of us.
they help to channel to the Pig Hunters Association because
Yeah.
now they're so busy. But yeah, we had a successful campaign up here with, and they caught several pigs in that one weekend, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like I said, too, guaranteed for hours, they're probably not going to respond. So we are probably going to be the ones that do respond after hours, especially if the pigs are dangerous or kind of a menace to the neighborhood. Police are going to respond. HPD is the primary law enforcement agency, but we would work with DLNR. So I guess yes, if it is daytime hours or you are able to coordinate something with them, they'll probably be the lead agency. If it's 911 emergency kind of thing, HPD is going to be the one to try to take care of it.
Because I get the calls for the pigs, dogs, cats, whatever. I just want to make sure that it's written in the notes so that everyone understands. You don't have to call about the pigs to Paula, okay?
Okay.
Mm.
Thank you.
Paula. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, I think, from anybody for the District 5 representative? Lieutenant Hong, thank you very much for coming out this evening. We appreciate your time and your service. Thank you. Next up, we have Neighborhood Security Watch, and that is Paula. Paula? Oh, Paula, you just muted.
Thank you. Sorry.
Mhm.
Talking about pigs, I'm like, okay, we got that policy straightened out, and we got the park with the pigs and all that going on to Paula. I wanted to also say that we've had pretty good control of what's going on because we have people that are going out sometimes 3 times a day to check the neighborhood. And if anyone wants to join our neighborhood security watch, please call and let us know. And if you have space for us to meet, that would be even better, where we can show you some of the workers and how they're doing this through Matt Tenay. Now, Matt Tenay is also doing what do you call that? Like not judo, but different kinds of things to teach people what is needed to be safe. So if you need anything, you can call me. But also, Matt is in charge because I retired after 35 years of neighborhood security watch. So I turn it over to the men because I can't go to any calls. So that's all I wanted to tell you. Just
Thank
make sure you're safe. Thank you.
Thank you. They do a wonderful. It's a very organized organization. Seriously, it's quite
We are.
wonderful. So you guys, your organization does a terrific job. So thank you. Yeah, if
No,
anyone's interested, please look. Help them out. Go to a meeting. You'll be very, very, I think, very surprised at how good it is. So thank you.
thanks to our workers. Our
Thank
workers
you.
are great. Thank
They
you.
are. Thank you. Next up, we have Border Water Supply and Iris Oda. Iris,
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
good evening.
I'm here to report on, let's see, August 26th, there was a main break near 3136 Alika Avenue. Let's see, and I have one general announcement. Let's see, it's Source Protection Week, September 24th to the 30th. The goal is to bring awareness about the importance of protecting our precious drinking water sources. So while Wahoo's water purely comes from groundwater resources, here's some basic ways you can #protect the source. So conserve and use water efficiently, check and repair leaks regularly, use only what you need and don't waste it, properly dispose of household waste, don't pour it on the ground, protect watersheds, stay in designated trails and respect the wildlife, join a community watershed partnership group. Okay, so with the closure of the 3 water sources near Red Hill, we all need to be responsible stewards to ensure we'll have an adequate supply of safe drinking water today and for future generations. So in addition to what I read, go to borderwatersupply.com/source for more information. And let's do our part and make every drop count. Okay, so that's my general announcement. And I have status of the project in the Puyiv area. So as I've reported before, the contract was awarded on April 10th. The contractor is requesting to delay the notice to proceed issuance because of the delay in pipe material. And the delay, if there is, it's at no additional cost to the board. The project still needs approval from the State Historic Preservation Division and SHPD. And at this time, we're still pending approval from SHPD. We have received comments and are working to resubmit additional information as required. So due to permit delays and supply shortages, we're not able to determine the exact time when work will begin. However, we estimate it won't be until early 2024, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So that's the update of that water system improvement project in Lower Nuuanu. And I had 2 follow-up questions from last month. Member Paula asked about, she mentioned there was a waterline project or a valve project many years ago, and why were only the valves replaced and not the mains? So that was last month's question. So the response is that there was the Nuuanu Water System Improvement Project Part 1, which occurred in 2004. It included work on Puiva Road, Dowsett, Alika, and Wood Street. So beside the replacement of the valves, there was water mains that were replaced with PVC material. So at one time, PVC was the popular construction material for water mains, as the cost was less costly and generally easy to install, and it was supposed to work well in corrosive environments. So, but we've discovered in certain instances that the PVC was not provided the useful service life that we expected. So we've moved now from PVC material, and instead now we're using the ductile iron. So that Puiva Road, Dowsett Avenue, Alika Avenue, and Wood Street is now covered in that current project that I mentioned. So we are replacing the 12-inch and 8-inch PVC mains with ductile iron pipe with bonded dielectric coated and cathodically protected. It will be protected. So that's one follow-up. And the second follow-up was the status. So that's it. Just the 2 questions and follow-up. And then I see hands going up.
Thank you. Audrey, before I get to you, let me, since we covered Paula's question first, let's let her go. Paula.
Thank you. I just want to tell you on this last break in August, which she brought up, that water was running so fast down the street that we thought maybe it would sweep away some of the cars. It really came down fast. Thank God there were curbs, because it went halfway up into my driveway. And one senior was getting ready to go out in the road, and the water was halfway up their knee. That was running fast and very dangerous. So sooner you get this stuff done, safer we're going to be, because we might just have a flood. Thank God the stream was there. The river was there to catch it, the Maoli stream. So tell them, hurry it up, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is, Audrey, please.
Thank you, Iris, for the report. For the water main break on August 26th on the corner of Alika and Wood, when we go over the road, it's just like going on a roller coaster. The men that came on a job that evening said that usually there's a regular paving contractor that comes within 7 days of the break. So I don't know what happened, but the road is terrible. I've emailed Board of Water at contactushbws.org 2 times, no reply. So I don't know what's happening, but they should send the real pavers. That's what the guy said, the real pavers, because the guys that come out to fix the repair, they're not paved road pavers. So can you find out when the road pavers are coming out? I mean, it's really bad, especially when we make the turn from Alika to Wood.
Alika to where?
I'm sorry?
Where was it? Alika to where? The turn?
Alika to Wood. It's right on the corner.
Wood.
And
I'll get that.
So after
That's my
the break,
house.
a few days ago, they sprayed like a crosswalk, white paint. What does that mean, Iris?
Okay. I'm not certain. You're saying that there is white paint, like a crosswalk covering over the innocent main break?
Diagonal over the main diagonal lines, white. They're about 4 inches wide, and they're about 2 feet apart. They're going diagonal, like a well, not a crosswalk, but diagonal over the complete area where there was a breakage.
Okay. It wasn't, and there was no existing sidewalk, crosswalk there before?
No, no sidewalk. No,
Interesting.
no.
I mean, not sidewalk,
And some,
a crosswalk. There was no
and
existing
some,
crosswalk there before?
no existing crosswalk, and somebody put cones on both sides of Alika. So I don't know whether it's bottled water or who came out and who did those white paint diagonal lines over the area that was leaking.
Okay, and it's curb to curb. Okay, it's curb to curb, or is it just over where the paving had been disturbed?
Both curb to curb and over the breakage. Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask that question too. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lau, do you want to chime in if I see you pop up? Please.
And hi Ernie. Hi
Okay,
Ernie.
I'll come back to you, Audrey. Let's let
Hi.
Lau chime in if that's
I
okay.
didn't know my boss is there. Hi.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you. The field crew would do a temporary repair. They try to do it smooth, but they don't have the equipment to do it smoothly. So they regular paving contractors to follow, not usually 7 days, but within a 30-day period. And the white marks on the road probably are trying to indicate maybe where the road is a little bumpy to alert drivers at the location. But Audrey, we'll check with field operations tomorrow, and Iris can get the information back on when the permanent paving contractor will be doing the work. Thank you.
Audrey, did you want to follow up? I'm sorry.
No, I've still got the floor.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hi Ernie. Thank you, Ernie. And Iris is doing a good job. She reports every month. But so your men that come out when they did the breakage, they better tell us the right thing. They told us 7 days, so that's what I was basing it on. And like I told Iris, and you probably heard, I emailed twice to this contact us at bhpws.org. Nobody replies. So I'm done with that situation. I'm not going to grumble too much because Lahaina is in a worse situation than we are, which is what I told the men that night of the breakage. But Ernie, since you're on the line, so let me get this straight. So our project on Puiba Road in Dowsett, so now it's going to be probably NTP early 2024.
I think so. I don't know exactly when the NTP is going to be issued. NTP is going to start a construction, but I can get back to you. I wasn't really prepared to talk about the Puiba Road project.
Okay. Never mind, you're too important. Iris will get back to us. But Iris, my last question, you said that 2004, we got replacement of the valves. And you said now it's PVC pipes and what kind of ducted iron 8-inch, what phrase did you use? I'm sorry.
It's going to be ductile iron.
How do you spell that?
DUCTILE.
Oh, okay. Iron. 8-inch.
8-inch and 12-inch.
Thank you, Iris. Thank you, Ernie.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Audrey. I apologize. Mason.
Yeah, Iris, they're doing a lot of construction on Kaneali'i and all the way going down Chitana. But I have people complaining to me, why they keep digging up asphalt? They dug it up 3 times after they covered that hole and everything. Then they dig it up again 3 times. You know, and I know all that is going to the pipes, they're going to the fire hydrants and everything else around this area. But it's getting to be a mess. Is there anything that any time frame that they're going to finish all this digging up the road?
I'm going to have to ask our construction branch for that information. Ask the status about that.
Okay, that's
So I
fine.
can get back next month with you.
Yeah, I understand. No problem.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Iris.
Paula, did you still? Yeah, go ahead, Paula.
I just wanted to thank Board of Water Supply for cleaning up our street this last time. The men, 3 men came to clean up, so we don't have to use hoses to clean up our own. And they not only shoveled, they cleaned, and then they brought down I don't know what it was called. They did a really good job this time. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll let them know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from anybody for the Board of Water Supplies representative? Hearing none, thank you, Iris. Thank you, Ernie Lau. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll hear from you later, but thank you. Thank you, Iris. Next up, we have a filling of vacancies. We have 2 vacancies in our sub-district 1. This is the area basically around Punchbowl and some parts of like between Kuakini and School Street. If you're interested in serving, but you're unsure of if you fit in that location, because it's obviously very general, let me know, and our neighborhood assistant will make sure your address fits in our district. Is there anybody that would be interested in serving on the board in those positions or one of those positions? Hearing none, we can move on. Thank you very much. Next up, we have our public concerns. Before we go there, these are concerns that, I'm sorry, Robert, was this about the positions or is this concern?
I just like to address the censorship of the minutes.
Okay, well, before we get there, let me preface the public concerns part first. These are designed for issues that are not on our agenda. I know there are a number of people that contacted me because I inadvertently left off the bus route 121, but that has been addressed a lot this month, and so I made a mistake, but that will be covered very extensively in our councilman's report. And I talked to their office today, so please know that will be covered at that point in time. It's just so everyone knows. So, public concerns. Robert, since you started, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members and everyone in attendance. I'd just like to request that it be placed on our agenda for next meeting. If we can address the keeping of minutes by Neighborhood Board 12. So the July minutes as well as the August minutes have no record of my discussion with noise pollution and obstruction of the bus stop. I'm concerned, and it comes across as a censorship. It's a long-standing problem, and I believe even if it's not placed in detail, that it makes it difficult for a resident to attend and to share a concern if in the minutes it's not even recorded, even a summary of the concerns that a resident has. So I'd like to ask that although the July minutes was already approved, that it be opened up and amended to include the concerns that I shared during resident and community concerns. And the August minutes hasn't been approved yet, but the August minutes, again, have no record of the discussions that I gave last month on noise pollution and obstruction of the city bus stop. So I'd like to ask and just notify the board that this is what's happening. I don't know if the board is aware that community concerns are not being recorded in the minutes. Again, it comes across as a censorship of an important issue. And I don't know how many other times this has happened, but because this is something that I've been reporting on, I noticed that it's not included in the minutes. So I just like the board to be aware and ask if it can be placed on the agenda next month. And I'd like to ask the board to consider that all community concerns be required to be at least summarized in the minutes so that we can keep a running log of the community concerns, whether the board agrees with it or not, but that we can actually keep an accurate record. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It'd probably be good not to necessarily respond to each time, but I Robert did express these concerns in an email to me, and I related that there's been a lot of consternation about the minutes over the last, let's say, year or maybe even more, and about the detail, and that's been a big ongoing issue. But ultimately, he is allowed, as anybody can bring in and propose amendments to our minutes. Um, Granted, in a perfect world, it would be great to have all that stuff included, but the I think the trend of the city, the neighborhood commission, is to go more to the having the video available and trying to do timestamps. So, we're sort of limited unless someone on our board wants to take copious minutes. But I would just go back to my original suggestion, and that is, if there are amendments you wish to offer, please do so. I would prefer if you would send those in advance, but given it's a new issue, I can understand if that wasn't done. Anyway, uh, Mason, did you want to respond to that real quick?
No, I just had something else I wanted to add.
Okay, well
Um,
then we can go on. Thank you, Robert.
they I don't know if Paula was mentioning something about the bus. It wasn't on the agenda last month.
Well, that's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
referring.
I don't know what she was talking about.
Well,
I don't
that's what I
remember
was
either.
referring to. That's bus route 121, which was curtailed by the city, and there are a number of residents in the community that very much need, utilize that, and it's a huge issue. So our council member, I've talked to him, and our council member's representative is going to discuss that during their report. So that's what that's about.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public concerns? Hearing none, we can move on. And next up, we have our elected officials. And first up, I think we have Director Ken Ashiro, I believe I saw online for the mayor. Director, are you with us? Yes, I see you.
Hi, Chair Smith and members, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Sorry, my video is not working tonight. I'm getting some kind of error message. So I'm going to leave that off and just go ahead verbally. So this month, and I will include a link in the chat to the mayor's newsletter. This month, Mayor Blangiardi includes a message regarding the devastating wildfires that destroyed Lahaina, and also information on what everyone can do to help. There is a new lifeguard tower at Kahe Point Beach Park, also known as Electric Beach, which was installed on August 3rd, and it's the first in 11 years, which expands the total to 42 towers across the island. The tower was immediately staffed and they did their first rescue only 2 hours later. There's also information about the new Honolulu Liquor Commission's new administrator, Sal Petilos, a longtime industry leader with years of hands-on experience. There's information on how the mayor and his administration is following through on a decades-old promise to redevelop the historic Verona Village in Eva. The city will be turning over the land to developers Peter Savio and Habitat for Humanity, and they will be redeveloping the historic village. Forbes magazine once again names the city and county of Honolulu as one of the best places to work in Hawaii. And lastly, Mary Lewis, the administrator or former administrator for the Blaisdell Arena in Waikiki Shell, announced her retirement and retired after more than 30 years of public service. Mary worked with her team to engage local, national, and international clients to provide Hawaii with a wide range of entertainment, athletic, expo, cultural, and educational events. Okay, as far as the follow-up items from last meeting, unfortunately, I will need to wait until next meeting to respond on the DFM related questions regarding stream cleanup, street lighting, and trees. So I hope to have a report next month for you. There was one follow-up response, and that was regarding revenue for the first months of ridership of Skyline. The goal was 170,000 riders, and the question was, are we going to meet financial goals and when? So DTS responded with August 2023 statistics. The monthly total ridership was 96,178. The average weekday ridership was 3,083, and the average weekend ridership was 3,139. There is also ridership data that is posted. I will include a link at honolulu.gov/skyline. There is a ridership reports link, and it is updated monthly. Other than that, I'll take any questions. If anyone has any.
I'm sorry. Are there any questions for Director Hishiro from the board? Philip?
Yes, thank you, Director Hashiro, for your follow-up to my question on the ridership from last month. I appreciate you putting in the time and following up on that. So, I mean, it's exciting to see those kind of numbers. And, you know, I was just concerned that if you recall, last month's meeting, there was a gentleman that did a presentation, and he was talking about something else, but then he made a comment about rail's going to lose $300,000 a day. I believe that's what he said. Is there any truth to that? Or it sounds to me very unrealistic. But from what you're saying with the ridership, you know, there's some decent numbers. But yeah, is there any truth to that? I don't know if you recall that gentleman. I forget his name. He did a presentation on the last call, but he did mention that we're losing $300,000 a day.
Okay, I'm not sure about that, but what I can do is follow up and go back to DTS and obtain a response and report back next month.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I think it was more of an off the cuff comment that he made. I don't think it would be that much. So yeah, it's not necessarily for you to follow up on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm not aware of that though. I have not heard that since.
Yeah, it just didn't sound right. And again, that was a gentleman, a citizen that was doing a presentation on another topic, and he just kind of made a comment about that. So yeah, but the ridership seems to be promising. Of course, you know, we'd like to see it to be larger, but it does seem promising. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mason.
I just wanted to mention that you have a lot of people complaining that why is the city charging residents in their own property to capture these feral chickens. I mean, we taxpayers are already paying a whole lot of money out of our pockets already, and now we're getting charged to catch these chickens that are not even ours. We should look at who's raising these chickens and find out why they're letting their chickens run loose. It's just getting really out of hand. You know, people just, they want to just try to save money, but then we got to pay for everything. I don't understand.
So Mason, actually, that is feral chickens falls under my department. And we just did last week, Thursday, media information was put out through various channels. And what's happening is our department has in the past, we are responsible for feral chickens on city property. And we have been hiring a vendor to trap and remove chickens on city property. This new program that started last week, Thursday, is regarding private property. And so unfortunately, the city is not able to remove chickens on private property. It's actually the responsibility of the property owner. But because of the feedback from the community, the frustration from the community, we started this new program, and it's a pilot. We're testing it out. We'd like to see, what the usage is, but through our vendor, it is cage loans, chicken disposal, and also full service trapping, monitoring, and removal of chickens on private property. And the city, due to, budget constraints, we're only able to partially subsidize those costs. What I wanted to let however, is that there is a state Senate concurrent resolution that the Ledge passed this past session that we're also participating in. It includes multiple state departments as well as the city and county of Honolulu. And my department is represented. I've attended, my deputy has attended. And the state is also looking to try to, they're very interested in what the city is doing, but also trying to reduce costs overall. So we're waiting to see what comes out, if anything, through this next legislative session regarding further funding for feral chicken mitigation.
Okay. All right. I understand that there's procedures you guys got to do. I understand. But, neighbors are wondering, we got to pay for everything, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but still, we're paying for the rail, you're paying for this, you're paying for that. I mean, my goodness, how are we going to control the expenses, But I understand what you're saying, and I'll explain to my people that have complained to me. I'll explain to them as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And then if there's any questions, please ask people to go to our website. We do have information regarding this program there. And we will be periodically, updating city council, administration. And if you'd like to, I can also bring an update to the board.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That I
Okay.
appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, I'm sorry, what department are you head of, a director of?
Customer services.
Okay, thank you. Just wasn't clear. Are there any other questions for the mayor's representative? Oh, Paula.
I just want to know if the city and the state, who does the contracts for the lights on the Poly Highway? The lights are so short that to get across the Poly, a lot of people are getting caught in the middle of the highway, which is dangerous. And number two, how do you verify how many chickens are caught? Because now I've had 3 calls regarding a person that uses a truck with like a pig hunter cages and catches the chickens somewhere and brings them to Nuuanu Valley Park. I think that should be stopped if they're getting paid by you folks and then they turn around and do that kind of thing. The chickens even now are all over Queen Emma and in the park itself. 2 questions. Thank you.
Okay, so Paula, your first question regarding the lights, I just want to make sure, is it the traffic lights, the cross when people, the pedestrian crossing lights? Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, on the Poly Highway.
On
yes.
Poly Highway? I believe that's
Yes.
state DOT.
They're saying it's city.
They're saying it's city? Okay, then it would be state, city DTS. So I can ask that question. You wanted to know what the timing is and you feel that it's too short. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's dangerous for a lot of our seniors to get across. And now, well, they'll be bringing up later about the bus. It all fits together in one complex problem.
Okay.
And the other part is about the chickens.
So as far as the chickens,
why they're letting them loose.
yeah, I mean, we're not, when chickens are caught through our program, through our vendor, they are not released in any way. I don't know who would be catching chickens and bringing them into parks. But we do have, our vendor who is able to set traps and monitor and remove chickens. When our vendor removes chickens, they're gone. They're not coming back. So, one of the things I wanted to relay was Nuuanu Valley Park was on our rotation for service by our vendor. And what happened was it was reported back to us that the cages that were placed there had actually been stolen. They are locked up with a thick chain. And apparently you would need to bring heavy duty, cutters metal cutters to actually cut through
Yes.
the chains and remove the cages, but that's what happened. And unfortunately, the city has to pay, whenever a cage is damaged or removed. And, the vendor then moved on to another location because we do have a significant list of city property that our vendor goes and, rotates trapping and monitoring at.
I just want to tell you that the cutting of the chains has been a normal procedure for even the pig hunters. They lose their cages. So now with the chickens, that has been known even to cut the chain across the park, across the entrance and exits. That's historically, unless you could find something that would stop them. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's happened many times. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for the director? Director Oshiro, thank you very much for coming out this evening. We appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Councilmember Tyler Del Santos Sam's representative, Lisa Leonardo. Lisa?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I chair board members and participants of this meeting. Just wanted to let you know that the newsletter has been sent out. So if you have not received it, please email me and I'll be putting my information in the chat after this report. So I will start off with what everyone has been wanting to know about for Route 121. Last week, Friday, council member and some staff were able to meet with Deputy Director Nouchi from DTS and some of his staff. They discussed extensively about whether or not we could bring back Route 121, whether or not we could maybe extend Nuuanu 4. So there were a lot of things that they were talking about. We did thank you for everybody who provided testimony. We did give that to Deputy Director in hard copy and soft copy. So he does have that information. Information that they gave to us was that service is based on the number of riders that ride the bus in a given time period. So at this time, from that discussion, and this is not the last discussion that we're going to have, but from this discussion as of today, the Route 121 is not going to be put back in as of today. Other options are being explored for maybe shorter routes, different times. I'm not sure if any of you knew from, I think it was 2 transportation committees ago, they did bring out new handy van vans, and then the Nissan Rogue that they were going to be adding. We're thinking about adding that as part of an option as well. They're looking into creative, cost-effective solutions that can be serviced for this area specifically. And we will be keeping in communication with DTS on this. We did also bring up, as Paula had mentioned, not only does it have concern about the bus and being able to transport people, but if they have to walk across the Pali Highway to get to the next available bus stop, timing of crosswalks, no sidewalks. We did talk about things like that. So they are aware that we know the concerns that we're bringing from the neighborhood board. And like I said, this is not going to be our only discussion. We're going to try and get updates from them at least every 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. So that's what we have at this time. Another thing that council member wanted to share with the neighborhood board is part of the primary urban center development planning that's coming up. This is something that the board can get involved with so that they can put information in there about routes like this, where we can serve everybody when it comes to transportation. I'll be providing a link to that after this report. And are there any questions on Route 121, the information that I provided?
Yeah, let me first start with the board, please. Is there anybody who would like to offer some observations from the board? I know we have probably some community folks that would like to say something. So if there's anyone from the community that would like to say something at this time, this would be time. Pat. Pat, you're muted.
Sorry.
That's it.
You mentioned the handy van. It is not easy to have access to the handy van. You have to be disabled, unable to get on or off the bus normally. It's just not an option for a lot of people. Maybe for those who are more disabled or wheelchair bound, they can get a handy van pass, but it's not for everyone. So that option really shouldn't be considered for the general bus riders.
So
Because
one thing that I wanted to say is that, as I mentioned, they also are putting into that the Nissan Rogue, which is not necessarily for wheelchairs. And it's not the handy van how it is now. That's the options that they're looking at, that if they use those vehicles, not necessarily in the same way that they have now, but coming up with different plans and ways to allow people to maybe make appointments to pick them up. So it's just an option, and it's not exactly how it is done now. So it's something in the play, in the discussion, if that's okay.
it's as long as this discussion continues and it doesn't get tabled, because there's a lot of seniors that have a very difficult time crossing the highway.
Yes.
And you know, years ago, I challenged the board members to try to cross the highway, and maybe that's what the officials need to do. Is at different times of the day, at different crosswalks, they should try to cross the Pali Highway without getting themselves killed, because it is not very easy to do so.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you that Councilmember Dos Santos Tam has walked the streets a lot. And, you know, for that same reason, he likes to be able to say, you know, if my constituents are saying this, I've walked it as well. Which was something that we discussed, timing of going across the Pali Highway in that area, not having sidewalks to be able to walk on to the next bus stop. So we brought up a lot of things. We discussed the testimonies that were given to us. And again, I want to thank everybody who provided testimony. And if anybody hasn't, feel free to send that in, because it will always.
Uh-oh. Lisa, we lost you. Are you still there?
So sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. You were talking about others providing testimony, and now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
And yeah, if there is anybody else who would still like to provide testimony or extra, feel free to email me, which I'll be providing in the chat, and we will include in our discussions.
Thank you. Uh, I see anything on topic for this discussion. Mason, did you want to offer something about the bus?
No, not necessarily the bus. I just wanted
Okay.
to just say, I understand what that tire is saying because I've traveled in that area and it is dangerous. Without the bus or without lights, traffic lights, it's horrible. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. I will let you know, I talked to Lisa earlier, and there is a proposal coming out of the transportation committee, I think, for the city, of perhaps a voucher program with taxis and such, but that's in an early stage. I guess there's not really much to report at this point, but that is something the city is
I
considering.
can give you a little bit.
Okay, please.
So I actually found this information in our August 22nd Transportation Committee. It was a presentation by DTS. It was regarding out-of-the-box ideas to improve service and control costs across the board. And one of those was to consider establishing a taxi voucher program for short same-day trips. So a pilot of the taxi voucher program is actually authorized under Section 15B.5 taxi cab subsidies. So a maximum of $24 city subsidy combined with a $3 user charge would provide eligible handy van users with up to 5 miles of travel via participating taxi companies. A comparable handy van trip is $225, but the actual cost is about $55. And then they gave us some information about how it works in San Francisco. I will also post this link in the chat so that you have availability to look at that presentation.
Thank you, but I would ask if the council member can maybe, if there's some way of maybe expanding the eligibility of that program, because as Pat suggested, there are some problems,
With
I
the
think,
handy van.
yeah, and the eligibility, and I think you could still maybe have some, you could have restrictions, just not like some young spry person, but maybe if it's possible. Anyway, just
Yeah.
if the council member, if your staff or his staff could kind of consider that and look to see what could be done, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. Is there anything further on this particular issue that anyone would like to bring up at this time? Paula.
I wanted to tell you that the people that did the testimonies were all very, very good about following through and letting Patrick know. I want to know exactly where you want testimony sent, or would it be sent to Patrick directly again and he'd bundle it? Or is there an address where people, even on our board, if they're supportive of it, of some of this, that they could send it immediately? Because the more we get information, because the bus is used by people going to work even, and by stopping this and putting in no light and no sidewalks, coming down a rain kind of situation, having to walk 2 miles to get to a bus stop in Nuuanu is very difficult. And then even where their bus stops are, they're dangerous. One has got the homeless right behind the bus stop, and pigs entering there regularly and crossing the highway and getting hit. The second one is the grass is so high that you can't see it on the other side, with the light missing at Wood Street. So I hope you folks look at this quickly, because a lot of people aren't even going to want to go to use the bus. And we heard that the bus money and all the other monies that were cut to come to Nuuanu all went to Skyline. And then I need the state person to bring it together. So it's a multitude of problems. And lives are being wasted, supposedly, in some areas, because we've had deaths on the Poly already and near hits. Just to bring it back. on Poly, on the slopes of the Poly, going up the mountain. It's dangerous. There's no sidewalks. It's full of mud and grass. You got to walk down the middle of the street, down the middle of the Poly Drive, and the bus stop is clear on the other side of the Poly Highway. So I don't think anybody's listening to us. I hope they will start listening to us, because we might have to go file an ADA on this.
Thank you. Yeah, Lisa, maybe if you would take to the council member, I mean, if maybe there could be, and I hate to say form another committee, but something with the state, because the state, as I'm sure the council member knows well, that had budgeted $5.2 million for a number of lights, and a lot of these issues all tie together. It's all about the safety of the Poly, and maybe maybe get together with the state, not only DOT, but the Department of Health is supposed to be pushing this Vision Zero project, and that's for zero pedestrian collisions. And we had someone to talk to us, but it sounded like it was more of the ethereal stage. It wasn't really practical implementations. So maybe with that, there might be more money, like say through the Department of Health, just to prevent traffic deaths. But anyway, just some, if you guys want to brainstorm that out, and that's just a suggestion. But yeah,
That's definitely good information.
Thank you. Yeah, Vision Zero, and like I say, the Department of Health is supposed to be pushing that. So maybe there's federal grants or something. Maybe we could do something there. So anyway, Paula, did you want to? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, to Paula's question, she wanted to know for testimonies, would it be easier to have them send them to you or to me, or if there's more?
Yeah, I think you could send them to the council member's office. That's fine. If you want to provide that information,
yes.
I guess I guess maybe the one benefit is just to kind of keep it in our loop. But maybe if we could just share some information once in a while, if they could send it directly to you, that might be better.
Sure, that's fine.
Is that agreeable, Paula?
Yes. So it's in the record, so people know exactly what they're going to do. And I'm hoping, but I'm offended that the idea of that having to use a handy van because I'm scared to walk across the Poly Highway is ridiculous. And I'm going to probably get turned down because maybe not, but I think that's unfair under ADA rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anything further just on this issue? I see Robert, if you want to add something real quickly, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Paula. I just wanted to add that if you have concerns on overgrowth, such as brush, obstructing the sidewalk or bus stop with city streets, I put in the chat, you can email DFM if it's a city streets. I'm not sure who's taking care of that area, but if it's state, I'm not aware of. And hopefully the state rep can tell us. But if it's a city street, you can contact DFM. And again, I put the contact in the chat. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say?
Yeah. Go ahead, Paula. I'm sorry.
I just want to tell you that it's always been at Wood Street, who owns what portion of that portion around the bus. Now, even up at Nanico, who owns that strip? And then they wait till it gets waist high to the 4th of July. And then we've got homeless sleeping in it, or homeless in that whole area. So it's very dangerous. So if we know what the properties are, then we might be able to call the proper authorities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it belong to the bus or to the state or to the highways or to the, who does it belong to get it cut? And don't do a survey when it's COVID at time when you say, oh, there's no one sleeping in the grass. Ridiculous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on, but Lisa, did you have anything else to report? I know we had this was a huge issue, but if you have something else.
No problem. I just had one more, just You're going to have a Papakolea listening session. That's going to be September 27th at Stevenson Middle School at 6:30, if anybody is interested.
I'm sorry, that's September 27th?
Yes,
At what time?
6:30.
Thank you. And who are the featured speakers
It's
or
going to be Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, and Bellotti, Representative Bellotti.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, without any, Megan.
Just a question. It's at Stevenson Middle because we had saw a flyer that it was at Kawananakoa.
That's a different meeting, Megan. One is Wednesday, one is Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Apology.
Okay. So are we all clear? Okay.
We're good. I put my information in the chat.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Are there any last questions for the council members representative? Thank you very much, Lisa. Appreciate all the hard work and you know, as you know, we would love to have, you know, keep this
Yes, we'll
special
definitely keep
issue
it going.
on the front burner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the governor's representative. I didn't receive an email from him. I'm not sure if he's available. William Nihai?
No,
Okay.
he's not here.
I know each time he's been very involved in Maui, so you know, it's understandable he's doing a lot of work. So next up we have Senator Carl Rhodes and his representative. I know he's out of state, so if you'd like to go ahead, please, sir.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Thorne, and I am the newest legislative intern for Senator Rhodes. And unfortunately, like Patrick said, he will not be able to come in today, but I will relay his messages. So starting off, the red light safety program is now in effect and live in multiple different locations. The DOT is reminding everyone that night work was rescheduled to begin on the Poly Highway from Vineyard Boulevard to Wildlight Street interchange on Sunday, August 20th. The railroad dates have been slightly changed to occur on Monday through Friday nights from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Saturday night will be reserved for emergency work or rescheduled work caused by rainout. Night work in this area is expected to be completed by the end of November of this calendar year. For questions or concerns, please contact the Nighttime Railroad Hotline at 808-348-5168. I was recently asked for my input on the Board of Water Supply's proposed Nuuanu Managed Aquifer Recharge and Hydroelectric Project, which will encompass Nuuanu Reservoir Number 4 to Reservoir Number 1, near the route of Old Poly Road and Nuuanu Poly Drive. The project proposed diversions of surface water runoff into an existing reservoir in the Nuuanu Valley to increase recharge of the groundwater supply for drinking water while also regenerating renewable hydroelectric energy. The project will help enhance the island's irreplaceable groundwater resource, meet statewide water sustainability, and renewable energy goals, while providing dam safety and flood control for Nuuanu Reserve. My input includes support for this project and a reminder to make sure that the community's opinions and feedbacks are taken into my consideration. I also voiced my concern that the project should attempt to minimize disruption and maintain a high level of safety for the residents, commuters, and pedestrians that will be affected by the noise of this construction. Last week, the Department of Health reported 1,200 new cases of COVID within the last 7 days, an average of 134 cases and 8 deaths, not per day, but per week. So COVID-19 remains still the top 10 causes of death in this country and has claimed the lives of about 1.1 million Americans. I still strongly encourage you to get your shots and boosters. The new shot should now be available, and I also encourage you to wear your mask inside, especially if you are at high risk or you live with someone who is high risk. We are still in a COVID resurgence, and the virus is still circulating. And with that, flu shots are now available. So ending this out, please do not hesitate to call my office at 808-586-6130 with any questions or concerns, or if you would like to email, you can also email us at sendroads@capital.hawaii.gov. And with that, does anyone have any questions that I could answer and or relay to next month's meeting?
Well, I will let you know that I think the booster, I just happened to talk to one of the state, I can't say his title. I'm not sure what exactly, but he works in with COVID. And he said the booster should be available next week. So
Okay.
just so you know. Are there any questions for Senator Rhodes' representative from anybody? Hearing none, Sarah, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda, we have Representative Jenna Takanuchi. The representative just sent me an email. I think everybody should have received it. I'm not sure you checked your email because it was about at 6 o'clock, I think. But she is traveling and she left a couple notes in there. I don't suppose we have anybody here for her. I don't think so. I would assume that she would have let me know. Do we?
No, we
Okay.
don't.
Okay, thank you. So next up on the agenda, we have any other elected officials? Do we have any other elected officials that aren't included specifically? Hearing none, we can move on to board business. Please know that during board business, we are asked to turn, our board members are asked to turn our video on if possible, if your bandwidth supports it. Definitely when we take votes, we really should have them on, but we should do it during the whole board business. First up on the agenda is the Board of Water Supply. It's going to provide us with a presentation. So please go ahead, whoever's going to take the lead.
Good evening, Chair Smith, board members, and attendees. My name is Mike Matsuo. I'm with the Board of Water Supply and the Land Division, and thank you for having myself, plus Manager Ernie Lau and Engineer Iris Oda here to give you an update on our proposed water rate scenario. So let me share my screen to show you what we're doing. We have a short presentation. Yeah, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, as you know, all life depends on water, especially here on the island where we have a limited supply. We can't get water from anywhere else, so we need to be very strong stewards of our limited freshwater resources. The Board of Water Supply system is fairly complex. It serves 145 million gallons a day of water to approximately 1 million people. And as you can see by this graphic, there's hundreds of sources, treatment facilities, pumps, hundreds of reservoirs, over 2,000 miles of pipe, 21,000 hydrants that services 170,000 different accounts. It's important to know that Board of Water Supply is semi-autonomous, meaning that all our monies come from water rates. Basically, whatever we collect from charging people for water is what we use. We get no funding from property taxes. And again, this water rate proposal that we're bringing up only applies to water, not to sewer. So it's important to remember that because on your bill, you'll see both water and sewer. So disregard the sewer stuff because that's a different department. This graphic here kind of shows you where the money goes. Approximately 27% of it goes to a capital improvement project, whether it's funding cash or using loans to put in various projects throughout the island. Another 29% goes to employee salaries and benefits. 31% goes to operation and maintenance, and electricity accounts for about 12% of our total budget. And so we're looking at an operating budget of $276.4 million in fiscal year 2024. Over the last 5 years, for our rates, we were able to do almost 500 projects that costs a little more than $750 million. I'm sorry, $750 million, correct. And this is both design and construction projects. Unfortunately, COVID-19 caused some changes in how the customers use water A lot of the larger customers, like the hotels and shopping centers and non-residential customers, of course, we shut down, so they weren't using as much water. So water was being used mostly by residential customers. Other things that happened was over the course of the 5 years, our total revenues only increased by 12.5%. However, inflation went up by almost 21%. So we did see about an 8% drop in our purchasing power. And what happened with power, of course, you can see there, the energy cost factor, the green line, it went up from 10 cents to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. And although we were able to cut back on the amount of power we use, which is shown as the purple line at the top, we did see an increase in the monthly cost for electricity. Our electricity cost was, like we said, about $33 million in fiscal year 2023, which was almost 20% higher than what we had budgeted. And of course, everybody knows Red Hill. Red Hill has and continues to be a source of stress for the board of water supply. We not only had to shut down wells, but we still don't know what the full impact to our water quality and supply is, and how it's going to affect our operation and maintenance costs, and what we're going to actually be able to recover from the Navy, if anything at all. So what we've done to tighten our belt, so to speak, is we haven't passed any of the energy costs increases onto our customers. We deferred purchases of replacement vehicles and other equipment, and we deferred less critical capital projects. This benefit is we were able to hold to our approved rate increases from 2018 to 2023, and we basically kept our operation and maintenance budget flat into the new fiscal year. Setting water rates is all about striking a balance between what we need to invest to upgrade, maintain, repair, and replace the various components of the water systems while striving to maintain affordability for our customers. Not an easy thing to do. What the rate increases will do is will help us to pay for projects that we have in the pipeline. Now we're looking at raising about $550 million additional dollars, which we'll use not only to fund operation and maintenance, but also to look at critical infrastructure projects. The two biggest areas of investment are new sources, as shown in yellow on this graphic. And again, it's higher in the beginning because we do have to do a lot of design, and followed by construction in the later years. We'll also be building the first seawater desalination plant, which will help us to conserve potable resources for potable uses. And this is mainly in the Campbell Industrial Park area. And then the next biggest one is the pipeline replacement, which is the brown layer there that you see. We're looking to replace about more than 41 miles of pipe. And this ranges anywhere from small mains like 8 inches, 8 inches to the big transmission mains that we have, the 42-inch mains that we use to transmit water across the system. So this shows you the different customer classes that we have. We have single family, multi-unit, ag, non-residential, and non-potable. What's important to see in this one here is that the single family residential, they account for 90% of our water users. However, they pay for only 95% of the cost of service. So basically, whatever it costs to serve water to these people, they're paying 95%. The non-residential customers, who account for about 5% of our accounts, pay 117%. And so what they're doing is they're paying more than their share of the cost of service. So what that's used is to subsidize, the other customers, the ag customers, the non-potable recycled water customers, and also the residential customers. So what we're proposing, starting in January of 2024, we're proposing an increase of 10%, followed by an additional 10% increase in July of 2024, followed by, as you can see here, 9%, 8.5%, 8%, and finally 8% in July 1st of 2028. And all customer classes will have the same increases. And it's important to note that the changes may vary by tier, because what the rates are, the way our rates are set up is we go by tiers. So for single family residential, you're looking at 4 different tiers. The first tier goes from 0 to 2,000 gallons. The next tier goes from 2001 to 6,000 gallons, followed by 6,001 to 30,000 gallons, and then anything above 30,000 gallons. So what you're seeing there is the current amount we charge. Also, multifamily residential are also tiers, a little bit different. 0 to 2,000, 2,000 to 4,000, and et cetera, et cetera. What we're trying to do is you'll notice that the lower water users will pay the lower water rates, which will help to support affordability, while the higher users will be paying more. And the idea there is to encourage them to conserve water. Our proposal is intended to limit the increase in our essential needs tier. So that's the lowest tier between 0 and 2,000 gallons. And we're going to limit that increase to 2.5% per year. All residential customers will get this rate, and 10% of residential customers use 2,000 gallons or less. So this graphic here shows you what the rates will be and that's current and what will be effective as of July 1st, 2028, excuse me. So as you can see, the first tier again is the lowest one that we're not going to increase overly much. The tier 4, which is greater than 30,000, will show the greatest increase in water rates. And again, the whole idea here is that we want to encourage these people who use 30,000 gallons that it's in their best interest to not use so much and do their best to conserve water. Okay, so single family water rates, this shows you how the rates will increase. Currently, it'll go from 4.46 for the essential one up to $5.17. And then you can see there how the rates will increase over the years. Now, how do you calculate your water bill? Well, what we do is we take the amount of usage you have and we round it down to the nearest 1,000 gallons. And then what we do then is we break it up by the tiers. So the first tier would be at 2,000 gallons. So we use that rate. And then we break it down, as you can see there. We do add on a monthly customer charge, and this is based on the size of your meter. And it's to fund meter reading, meter maintenance, those kind of costs. So if you use 8,000 gallons, your bill currently would be little below $54. And as I said, there is that monthly customer charge, which is based on your meter size. Those also will be going up as part of the rate schedule, the rate increase schedule. And you can see most of our customers have a 5/8 inch or a 3/4 inch meter. There are larger meters there that show up depending on the size of the customer's develop, whether it's a larger house or a building or something like that. So comparing water bills. So for the lowest user, the 2,000 gallons per month, those are the changes that they're going to see. It'll go up from $21 to $30 over the 5 years, 5.5 years, and it's a 6.1% change. And the reason why it's different is, again, we are keeping this tier the lowest, and we're not raising it up as far as we want, as far as we need. A lot. We're not raising it a lot. And then, of course, this is when an average water user uses about 9,000 gallons of water per month. So their current bill is about $60, and they're going to see it raised to about close to $98. And this is about a 70, almost an 8% increase over the 5.5 year period. And again, it is less than that 8% that we had said, and that's basically because the way the tier structure is set up. There's some variation in between. So for the high water user, which is usually about 35,000 gallons a month, they're going to see their bill go from $230 to almost $415. And again, that's close to it's going to be a little higher, again, basically because we're charging and trying to encourage conservation. For multi-residential units, this is what they're going to be seeing. Current is $4, almost $4 for the essential use tier, it should go up to about $4.40. And then you can see there the breakdown on how the rates work out over the 5.5 year period. And you can see here also sample water bills, what they're going to see based on the meter size and also the number of dwelling units in the multi-unit residentials. Now we also have what's called non-residential customers, which drive our economy. They're like parks, hotels, restaurants, and again, theirs is stable at $5.27 per 1,000 gallons. But they're going to see the increase, and their increases will be 10, 10, 9, 8.5, 8, and 8. So they'll see their bills go from $5.27 to approximately $8.80. Again, these are some of the samples that we have. A restaurant with a 1.5-inch meter, which uses 230,000 gallons, will see their bill go from $1,230 to about a little over close to $2,100. A large shopping center, which has a 3-inch meter, and uses close to 5 million gallons, will see their bill go from $26,000 to almost $44,000. We will continue to provide reduced rates to local agriculture and also for recycled water, again, to encourage their use and food sustainability on Oahu. And we'll also continue our existing fee waivers for affordable housing, for homeless housing, and for retrofitting of fire sprinklers. And we're also considering waivers for new farmers. We'll waive the installation fee and water system, the impact fee for new 3/4-inch and 1-inch meters that will be connecting for the first time to our system. We did get a grant from the state of Hawaii for a new exploratory well in Kunia that we're going to be developing. But we will require proof of commercial agriculture operations and a water use plan. And of course, we have our conservation ongoing devices that we give rebates for, and we're considering new programs that you can see there. Directly installing for Kupuna living on their own, free flow shower heads and faucet areas, etc., etc. For more information, you can go to the Board of Water Supply website, which you see there, and click on the conservation menu tab. So far, we've gone through our technical evaluation of the revenue, needs, cost of service, operation and maintenance requires in our capital projects. And we are currently in the phase, second from the bottom, where we're seeking input on the draft fee proposal. It will go to the board for consideration in probably mid-October, and then we'll go from there. So again, if you have any questions or comments you want to provide on the water rate proposal that we went through today, you can send a letter or email to the Board of Water Supply. We do ask that you send it by October 15th, which is roughly a couple of weeks from now. You can go to our website, which is www.boardofwatersupply.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. So please feel free to send any comments you have, either by mail or email or any of the social media sites. And there's a QR code on this presentation, which I think was sent to the neighborhood board. So you can also click on that if you have a mobile device. And that concludes the presentation. We're open to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
I apologize. We did go kind of fast through the presentation.
Oh, that's okay. Let's see. Do we have any questions from the board regarding this presentation? Yeah, go ahead, Reggie.
Hi, thank you for a great presentation that you provided us with. Will you be making this presentation available online so that others can access it?
Yes, it will be available at the Board of Water Supply website.
And could you tell me what fund the fees go into?
I'm sorry, what was your question? What fund?
What is the name of the fund that the fees go into, and who can utilize it besides the Board of Water Supply?
Only the Board of Water Supply. These are all water revenues that are generated from sales to customers. So it goes into the Board of Water Supply General Fund. So no other city agencies can tap this fund. It's only for the Board of Water Supply.
Is it true that rail has tapped into this fund in the past?
No, no. Rail is completely separate from this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any? I'm sorry. Are there any or any other questions from the board? Robert.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Michael. Terrific presentation. I just wanted to ask, although this is for the water side, are we to expect an increase also from the sewer side? Is that something that would be coming also?
Um, I I don't think I can answer that because again, the sewer fees are set by the Department of Environmental Services. They have their own needs and requirements. We're not privy to, so we couldn't say one way or the other if you can expect any kind of increases from them.
Okay, thank you. I'll share my concerns and questions via email. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Robert.
you. Are there any other questions from anybody? Well, I would say one thing. My wife really wanted me to push this, and that is I hope that I'm sure I saw in the presentation, but I hope we're pushing for the Navy to certainly provide the funding that their activities create, the problems they created. Anyway, I wish you luck on that. I'm sure you're pursuing that. So I hope that happens, that comes out successfully. Thank you so
Definitely.
much we appreciate your presentation. We appreciate you coming out this evening. We appreciate your patience, and thank you very much.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Chair.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
have a good
Arnie
evening,
Lau,
everybody.
too.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Mahalo. Next up on our agenda is a presentation regarding a T-Mobile antenna installation in Upper Nuuanu Valley. Do we have someone here from T-Mobile, or I think I see someone. Oh, yes.
Call me Miyamoto. Hi there. So let me start sharing. I do have some slides that I can share with you as well.
Okay. There you go. We see it. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Colin Miyamoto. I am a independent contractor for T-Mobile, and T-Mobile is proposing an antenna facility at the Tokonokari property, which is on 3510 Nuuanu Drive. To share everyone's familiar with the property, so this is Pali Highway. This is with the turnoff of Pali Highway onto Nuuanu Drive. And this picture here is the face right here at this intersection, or I guess the traffic light. The property is here on the left here. So this is the building that's existing right now. Showing here is the site plan of the property. So the bold line around this area here is the property line. The building is centered right in the middle of the property here. And T-Mobile is looking to do an antenna on the roof on the front of the building and an equipment enclosure on towards the front, I guess, right-hand side of the building. Like I mentioned, the equipment enclosure, which is located here in this blue square. So again, this is the building itself. Pali Highway is on the top here. Nuuanu Pali Drive is on the bottom here. The driveway is through here. This is the building. The equipment enclosure will be here, and it will be a CMU. All the equipment will be enclosed in a CMU enclosure with gates to allow for access, similar to this area here. That's the enlargement. The antenna enclosure will be on the roof in the front of the building here. The antennas will actually be in a enclosure that would look like similar to like a stairwell or elevator penthouse that will be above the roof. So you won't see the antennas, but they will match the enclosure itself will match the existing building. The existing building. So this is an elevation of the front of the building, and this is the elevation from the side, the right-hand side, along this side here. The antennas will be, the current height limit for the property is 30 feet, but the top of this antenna enclosure is going to be about 46 feet and 6.5 inches. So T-Mobile will be applying for a conditional use permit along with a waiver for height. That pretty much concludes the presentation, and if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you. Yeah, can you go ahead and close that if you would? Do we have any questions from the board regarding T-Mobile's proposed installation? Ray G.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I'm just wondering, is the CMU building going to be painted and what color?
The CMU, it's actually a CMU enclosure. It's not a building, so there's no roof. But yes,
Okay.
it will be painted to match the surrounding area of the building itself. So it'll be like the existing building that's there.
I'm sorry.
It'll be painted to match the existing building that's there.
The existing area, which is like white, green, or what?
Yes.
Both? You kind of went jarbled, so I don't know what color did you say it was
The
going to be?
building itself is white.
White. Okay. And is there any radiation coming from the antennas?
Any kind of regulations?
Radiation.
Radiation.
So the antennas itself emit radio frequencies. They do not emit any kind of radiation that you would expect from like a nuclear or X-ray or gamma, what they call gamma radiation.
So so it's gonna be like 3 feet, or how tall is it gonna be and how high?
How tall is the enclosure itself will be 46 feet 6 inches off the ground, off the existing grade. That's the top of the enclosure.
And the antenna will be inside the enclosure.
Correct. The antennas will be inside of the enclosure. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions at all from the community? Hearing none. Colin, thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it. Hold on just one second. I see Paula late hand. Paula, go ahead.
Sorry, my dog is acting up. My question is, how windproof is this thing going to be up there? Because we have huge winds.
So the antenna, yes, the structural engineer will be rating it for hurricane force winds, but according to the DPP standards for any kind of antennas. So they will be submitting a building permit for it as well.
Okay.
Because that's dangerous if that wind is that strong. It's already done some damage down below with people that thought they're going to put up antennas, because we already went through this. And why are you not using Wakanaka up at the top for your nest?
Or I'm sorry, what was
To
that?
put this thing, why aren't you using the Wakanaka? They have a big pole over there that holds plenty of the other
Cell providers, I expect.
Yes, other providers, because that was settled on before because of the winds in the area for T-Mobile.
It has nothing to do with the winds that are in the area. It's about the terrain and the coverage that's existing now, and that additional coverage is needed in this in the lower portion of the valley. Wakanaka is further up on Pali Highway, right? So this is.
I'm just wondering about the wind and the safety, and how many people in that area have been notified that this is going to be going in. How many people within so many feet? I think it's X amount of feet that you can do it legally. With you have to have permission from the people in the area, since
The
that is up
surrounding,
there.
the surrounding neighbors were informed by mail of this proposed antenna facility, and like I mentioned before, that we will be submitting a building permit. The Department of Planning and Permitting have certain requirements on what kind of wind structurally it needs to be, with what kind of how much wind it can withstand.
Right. The one that was down below on the Poly Highway, it was up in the air like 25 feet and it blew all the way up the Poly Highway. So I want to make sure that people around there would be safe. And how close are the homes up there to know that this is going in? You've let the people know. How many objections were there?
I have received no comments or any for or against it so far.
Did you bring this to the neighborhood board?
This is the neighborhood board presentation now.
Yes, he did.
And so are we going to vote on that tonight, or are we going to wait to have it put on later on? So we know in the neighborhood how many people might object to it.
If someone wants to offer an objection, this board is advisory. We have no regulatory authority, but we can certainly, if someone wants to make that motion, they certainly can. Okay. Was that it, Paul?
I'd like to make a motion that we wait a little bit to find out how many people in that area do really understand what's going to be put in.
So your motion to, well, if I could, let me ask, Colin, what's the timeline for submission of the permit? What are you looking for? Because I know permits are taking quite a while now, so I assume there's some time. But what do you have a kind of a timeline envisioned?
Well, the timeline for building for the reason why I'm making the presentation is because a conditional use permit and a waiver is required. And in order for the conditional use permit to be submitted, a presentation to the neighborhood board is required. We're not asking for any kind of vote or any kind of action by the neighborhood board. That's really up to you guys. But it is required to make a presentation to the neighborhood board, which I'm requested and have done today. I've also informed the adjoining neighbors or properties by certified mail that T-Mobile is proposing this antenna facility. So as soon as we get all of the agendas or confirmation that a presentation was made, it's only a permit for an application for the conditional use permit will be submitted.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's clear. I know this is just pro forma. In other words, it's not, an action on our part is probably not going to make, we can just, if we wish to take an action opposing it, we probably should do it pretty soon. But anyway, Philip, do you have something you want? Or I'm sorry, we do have a motion on the floor. Paula, is it?
No second.
It is to withhold any comment until we get more details from the public, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a second on that? Okay. Sorry, hearing no second, we've got to move on. Philip.
Yeah, so just really quickly, I was going to ask about the timeline, but thank you, Chairman Smith, for that, and thank you, Colin, for your presentation. So I have a question regarding the T-Mobile that facility that you're going to be building, and it was mentioned that there were cell towers up by Wakanaka that had other providers. Does this particular facility that you guys are looking to build give you guys a competitive advantage over the other providers as far as T-Mobile? Are you guys the only one? Is only T-Mobile services going to be used at this area, or is it only going to benefit T-Mobile subscribers? Or
at this time,
if it should be built, yeah.
So the Wakanaka, if I understand correctly, the Wakanaka tower that you guys are referring to does include other cellular companies, and it's a pole. So other carriers are co-locating on that pole. At this particular property right now, T-Mobile is the only carrier proposing to do an antenna facility here. It doesn't stop other carriers from coming to the property owner and asking to do a facility there as well. T-Mobile is not co-locating on a pole. They're actually going on their rooftop. So there's no pole to erect or no pole for other carriers to build their antennas on as well.
And that enclosure that you were talking about, that protects it from the wind? Would that protect that cell tower from the wind, or?
So the enclosure is basically to kind of, they call it stealthing of the antennas to make it look like it blends into the building and the surrounding area.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. I think just to,
I have a question.
well, I'm sorry, Audrey. Let me just clarify. So what's happening is they're putting in for, just to repeat what Colin said, they're putting in for a conditional use permit. They're required to come to our board. They're not required to get approval or any vote. So just so we know. Audrey, go ahead, please.
I have 2 questions, sir. So you said that you sent out notices by certified mail? That's what you said.
Correct. I sent certified mail notice of this presentation tonight was sent to the surrounding adjoining properties by certified mail.
How many was that? Do you know?
It's 10 properties.
Oh, that's all?
Those are the adjoining properties to this to the subject property.
Okay, I thought you would have sent out more, but okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Or is there any proposed action? Hearing none. Alan, thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Next up on the agenda, we have the early morning trash collection issue that Robert has discussed, and includes both noise issue problems and the placement of the actual dumpsters. So at this time, I'll let Robert discuss this problem with the board. Please, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. For purposes of timeliness, Chair, can you please post pictures that I sent you? Just briefly allow maybe 1 or 2 seconds of each picture.
Yeah, can you give me a minute and I'll do it.
Okay. Okay, so board members, I did put in the chat the purpose of addressing the placement of the dumpsters, which is being placed where the bus cannot pick up or drop off passengers on the sidewalk. You have to come onto the city street. This is a recurring problem. And although they're reporting to Lieutenant Sagucio that they're rectifying the problem, they're not being exactly, I wouldn't say they're not being honest, but they're not being forthright, or they're not, those in the field are not communicating with those in the office. So I'm, just for your information, I'm a person with disability. I had a back injury 1998. I had a back surgery. I have a MRI this Friday, coming up on a second surgery. So I faced problems that most elderly would find. Most people, and I'm hoping most of the board here, are not yet facing, or hopefully will never have to face, the kind of obstacles I face as a person with disability. But this is a huge problem. And I did some research on how California has handled the problem. Is if you look in the chat, I've placed a suggestion that we follow their lead. So what they did is they empowered public transit operators, because their buses have cameras, and bus drivers carry personal cameras. So this is one of the pictures. Let's just address the pictures. You can go to the next one, Patrick. Thank you. So this is how they placed the bin. So this is the bus unable to go to the sidewalk. So the passengers got to come onto the city street. Thank you, Patrick. The next one, please. Again, this is directly in front of the bus stop. Thank you, Patrick.
Okay, sorry.
And here we have 2 different locations. So normally there's 2 bins from 2 different adjoining properties placed at the same site. And then I believe there's one more.
Yes. This is the last.
And so this is kind of how they're starting to do it, but they do this every once in a while. One is on the other side of the driveway and one is at the end of the bus stop. But if you can actually pull up a close-up, what you would see is they're still in the red area. So it's not supposed to even be there. So they're in the transit lane. So what California has done is they've empowered a person from the bus company to look at videos or photographs that's been submitted by their drivers whenever the drivers cannot pull up to the bus stop. And then they issue a ticket. They issue a ticket to whatever's obstructing, whether it be a car or, like in this instance, the trash bins. So I'd like to request that the board make a motion to ask the DTS, the DOT, and a representative from the bus company come at maybe the next meeting or the month thereafter, and I can provide details, and we ask if they are willing to support Neighborhood Board 12 on behalf of the entire state, that public transit operators like those in California be able to provide video and or camera evidence, and that there'll be somebody designated in the city bus company in each county in the state that can actually send a citation to either the vehicle owner or the property owner. So whenever a bus cannot pull up to the bus stop, we don't need to ask the police department, which time and time again, Lieutenant Sagucio said that it's very difficult for them to enforce the law. So on behalf of enforcement for ADA protections, under ADA Title II, public bus stops and public transit is a ADA protection. And the bus company is required to protect disabled passengers. And in addition to disabled passengers, this is a quality of life issue for all our residents. So I'd like to ask the board if they would make a motion to request that representatives from DTS, DOT, and the bus company attend a meeting where details can be provided in requesting that kind of enforcement be considered and enacted.
Okay. Are there any questions for Robert?
I'd like to make that motion, Chair.
Okay, a motion.
I second.
Okay, and that is, just to rephrase the motion, then that is a motion to invite a representative from DTS and the bus company, assuming they're separate, whatever entity that represents them, to our next meeting to discuss this, if they will come.
Yes.
So is that the motion that was made?
Yes, Chair.
Do I hear any discussion on that? Does anyone want to?
Yeah, because my house is 5 houses away, and I the last 2 Saturdays I went, and even the first 2 pictures, how close it was to the bus stop. They also had those there at 5 in the morning. So not only is it become a nuisance or a safety issue with ADA, but it's a bothersome noise issue that early in the morning. They are definitely moving those bins before 5 a.m. I've seen it. So yes.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, so hearing none, we can move to a vote. This is a motion for the next meeting to invite someone from DTS and someone from to represent the bus company to come to our meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, or I guess I should say, because if we have opposition, we got to vote the other way. Is anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, it was unanimous vote, so that'll be, I'll take care of doing the invitations, and we'll have that on our agenda for next month.
Thank you, board, and thank you, Chair. And also, this is a 2-part agenda item. Okay. I'd like to also now address noise pollution. So it appears that Honolulu Disposal is using a version of the noise pollution where you cannot be between 10 and 7 a.m. You cannot operate for more than 10% of 20 minutes. So literally, you allowed 2 minutes of operating at any time of the day and night, as long as you stay under 2 minutes. However, for trash pickup, there's three visits. The first truck comes, takes the bin out to the street. The main truck comes, dumps the bin, and then another truck comes and puts the bin in. And once in a while, they're able to stay under that timing because usually it's spaced out. But that's a big problem because it's not always consistent. And even if it is spaced out, so for example, they might come 5 in the morning, put the bin on the road, and the truck doesn't come pick it up until, say, 6:30, and then the third truck doesn't come pick it up until 8. So the bin is left out there for a long time. And like I said, I timed their arrivals and departures this Saturday. And so their arrival was under a minute. The pickup took 6 minutes. And the replacement was under another minute. And so it seemed like they're skirting the law. So the way the law is written, there is not supposed to be any noise pollution from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I understand Waikiki Neighborhood Board has allowed them to come in earlier, and that's passed a resolution to allow them to operate after 6 a.m. in their community. However, I would like to request that the board make a resolution. My hopes is that the board ban all commercial trash collection in our community to stay within the lawful bounds of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I know Chair has mentioned that Waikiki Board has allowed them to pick up trash in their neighborhood after 6 a.m. I really would prefer, for quality of life and to prevent further abuse, that the board pass a resolution that there'll be no trash collection in Neighborhood Board 12 district between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. So I'd like to ask if the board would kindly make a motion.
Well, let me just comment on that, and just to point out, some maybe lack of clarity. I think what Waikiki did was, it's not that they allowed 6 a.m. They said just don't do it before 6 a.m. because I think it was happening at like 2 a.m. and things like that. They had the same issues. So first off, I think that was kind of a compromise for them. Secondly, we have to remember we're just an advisory board. Just to make sure to use the correct language. It's not a matter of allowing them to come. What we can do, if we pass a resolution, that will go to obviously the parties involved and to the mayor, our county councilman, that sort of thing. Especially if we have the law on our side. But just so everybody's clear, we don't have the authority to make a decision itself, but we can certainly, as a board, come together and make that recommendation, through a resolution. So anyway, just wanted to add that really quickly.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. And on behalf of preventing abuse, I'd like to request if the board would kindly make that motion.
Does anyone wish to make that motion? Any of our board members? I have to say, I think what might be prudent, and I hate to put this off again. I mean, I know you guys are struggling with this, but there is that. I know Waikiki was dealing with this. I can talk to someone from Waikiki and find out where they stood, but I can also put on our Google Drive a copy, and I did that a number of months, a copy of their actual resolution, and we can see exactly what they asked for and that sort of thing. If everybody, if anyone wants to do that. So I'm sorry, I think Adrian was the first I saw. So Adrian, please.
Okay, I just want to say, Robert, I'm hesitant to make that type of motion. I hear what you're saying, but also in the same respect, I don't know what that would do to other communities with trash pickup. So they're just to have that limited view of impact, understanding trash pickup and all of that across the whole community.
Yeah, so
it just leaves me hesitant to say, I understand the noise and all of that, but to say they can't do pickup in this space in this time, I don't know if that restricts somebody's pickup, because we don't know the impact fully across the whole community. So that's my hesitancy in supporting this. I just wanted to let you know why I don't think I know enough. I understand your problem and you've been bringing it month after month. But at the same time, it's just for me, I don't know enough about how they pick up, where they pick up, why they pick up in these times and spaces that impacts the whole community wide. Because I know how I feel when they don't pick up at all. So to put somebody in that type of position, I'm just hesitant in what our powers really would be to create a problem for another area.
Well, thank you, Board Member
Thank you.
Dillard. My request was for Neighborhood Board 12, but just to clarify, my request is actually consistent with the law, and the law is for every community. But there's different types of community because we have apartment buildings, and so there is some mixture. However, the majority is residential, so we would be considered a residential district. So there's different decibel levels in the different types of districts. So Neighborhood Board 12, because it's a majority of residents and apartments, the majority being residents, my understanding. So it would be a residential district. So the difference would be, I believe, a 50 decibel maximum as opposed to, I think, a 65 at the next district, which is still far below what a truck would operate at. But my request is for Neighborhood Board 12, and again, Board Member Dillard, the law is applicable to all communities. So that's my request, not to exceed or be in excess of the law, but so that we can show that we would appreciate if they would just follow the law. We're not asking them any special favors. We're asking that they follow the law. That's my request.
Thank you. Philip, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I do side with Dr. Dillard and in their concerns about that impacting a larger segment of the society. When we talk about the bins and the ADA piece specific to that bus stop, I think that's a avenue by which we can approach this particular situation. Because if we can get the DTS and the bus companies to be able to take these pictures and go to the owners of these apartment complexes. Now we have to look at the owner of the complex is the customer to these trash pickup services. So as the customer, they could go to these trash companies and say, hey, you're my customer and I want you to come at a certain time because the community is concerned. So it may be something that could impact or make the trash companies, these private trash companies, be more willing to obey what their customers are wanting. Their customers being the condominium owners, because if the condominium owners are going to get cited, they're going to say, "Hey, we don't want to get cited. If this issue is because these trash companies are coming too early and they're leaving the bins, they're not following, then maybe we need to go with another trash company who would be more willing to follow the law." That's kind of the way I kind of look at it.
Thank you, Board Member Soon. I did address Park Place, Lusitana Park Place, who owns those bins, one of their board members. And most of the properties there are all purchased, so they're all homeowners. They don't want anything to do with this. And it seems like we can either go through the Department of Health to enforce the law, the police department, or as an individual, we can provide a lawsuit. So it seems like that's the route. So I did try to go that route to be able to get their help, but without pushing it any further, there's nothing that the building, or at least that board member I spoke to, who is the president of the board, he doesn't want to get involved with it. And so my request to the board was to help to notify the company that, we would appreciate if they would respect our community and just follow the law.
Okay.
Thank you, Board Member Soon.
Thank you. Adrian, was your hand still up from before, or did you want to? Okay. Are there any further comments on this? So I'm sorry, did someone have Audrey? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Yes, please.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of siding with Adrian also too, because we have an office in Kalihi, in the heart of Kalihi, which is all kind of mixed residential business, whatever. And the rubbish guys come all types of morning, and I guess it's more acceptable than in Punchbowl. But I don't know, could we talk to the company and just tell them that, what our concerns are? Because I need to tell a business person what to do, and when to come and not to come. I don't know the whole story, and I appreciate Robert bringing it to the board, and I know, like you said, Chair, that he's brought it a number of times, but I don't feel comfortable in doing this resolution. Thank you.
Well, I put a note on here to contact the trash company, because if anyone should come, it should be them. And,
Yeah.
explain why they're, I mean, they may have good reasons, and, sometimes I know Robert's there, there are a lot of laws, and sometimes they're overlooked for practicality reasons or whatever, but it's important to know. So I will reach out to the Honolulu Refuse Company and see if they're send a representative, sort of, and I'll talk to them about the issues, and have them explain themselves, and then we can ask them questions and go from there. Does that
Thank
sound
you, Chair.
good?
And just
Yeah,
for the
okay.
record, my window is about 50 feet away, and my neighbor is even closer. So yeah, so this directly affects my quality of life. But I'm not the only one. I'm surrounded by residents that are even closer than I am. So I appreciate any help you guys can have on this issue. Thank you very
Okay.
much, sir. Thank you, board.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everyone on the board, but I think, we need some more information and just have an opportunity to hear. And I hate to put it off yet again. I know you're suffering over there, but we have to have the information to really act, I think. So thank you, Robert. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we'll see what happens. I'll make the invites and go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, Next up on our agenda is the Papakolea Community Concerns and Events. So, Dr. Diller?
Company, Megan, can you share what's been going on, what you guys have been doing in Maui? We start there. Company in Maui.
Hello, everyone. About a week after the Maui wildfires, our nonprofit Kula did a donation drive, and we've been doing weekly trips to Maui ever since. We currently are helping the community hub based on Inapili, which is past Lahaina. And for those families that are trying to remain on the west side, they don't want to be relocated into Pahului or other areas of Maui. They want to stay close to home. And kind of the main thing we're doing is, I hope you guys can see it, but it's kind of just, it's a little bit backwards, but this is just a kokua binder, something to help families keep things organized. We realize there's a lot of information, a lot of service providers and agencies in space, and it's overwhelming. It's a lot of information for families to take in. Different providers need different documents and things to get services. And so we just are trying to help families to stay organized, because again, this is going to be a long process. And so people are just trying to get their lives back together. And so, yeah, we're helping in different ways that we can. And yeah, that's us. Hope everybody's okay. Mahalo.
Wonderful. Okay. Adrian, would you like to, do you have anything else, or you want to continue?
No, and just to say that, company, Megan, have been spearheading, so a different group of staff are going up to do the work, and we foresee they'll be going up for a few weeks. Additionally, that we now have our after-school program. Junior leaders for middle school to high school started at the park, as well as we have K-5 after-school program. So we've hired 4 new staff with the federal earmarks to do that, as well as we have been meeting with the principals. So we have provided support and funding to Stevenson for some of the things that they wanted, as well as Manamele is there to start ukulele classes, the ukulele classes in Roosevelt, and support that we're providing for them. We're still waiting to meet with the principal of Ho'oa and the principal of Lincoln retired. So we're still working on that, as well as the other things that we do. Papakolea will also have a trolley in the Aloha Week Parade. One of our staff is the Papu rider this year from Maui. So there will be a sea of pink shirts in the parade on September 29th?
30th.
30th. Okay, so we are selling those shirts as well. So we're quite busy trying to balance all the things that we do. Did I miss anything, Megan?
No, I think that's it. We're just busy.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any questions from anybody for Adrian or others about this? Well, thank you very much. I mean, that sounds like great work, especially Tony and Megan for going over there, and thank you. That's wonderful. It's great work. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on. Last item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from last month, which is sorry, let me find my paperwork. August 15th minutes. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Hearing none. Robert.
Yeah, Chair. I'd like to ask that the July and August minutes be amended just to reflect a short summary of the concerns I've shared. It's really not necessary to go into detail, but I would really appreciate it. I know it's on video, but when I go through the records, like for myself, I keep a filing cabinet of all written records. I don't have a record of the videos. So I really would like to ask that the minutes on July and August be amended to show at least a short summary of the issues that I presented.
Well, as I've stated, if you would be willing to write those up, and if you would submit those to me, I can put them on our Google Drive, let people see them, and we can read them off. And if there's no objection from the board, or we could do a vote to reconsider, but we can adjust sets of those minutes, and we can, if everybody is okay, we could table the minutes for this month. But it would be very, very helpful if you would actually write that up, write what you would like, and it needs to be an accurate reflection. But if you would write that up, that would be wonderful.
I'm willing to make a summary, but at this point, it would be off the top of my head. Would I have access to the recording so I can just summarize what was said?
Yes, they're all on YouTube. I mean, you have, yeah, obviously internet access. So yeah, they're. I can send you the links if you don't have them.
Oh, terrific! Can you do that? And I'll take care of the minutes, the amendments, and I'll send them to you.
That'll be terrific. So if there's no, hearing that we had an amendment proposal, or that wasn't well formed, if there's no objection, we'll table this till next month. Okay, so I'll send you the links, Robert, and that way you can write something up, and we can consider that next month. And I think if everyone's okay, we can do that for July also.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. So that ends our business. Is there any board business that we didn't cover that anybody wants to bring up at this moment that's allowable? Okay, hearing none, we have our announcements. The next regular meeting will be October 17th. I discussed before we started the meeting, it would be great if we could have kind of an in-person meeting where I mean, everyone can go with Audrey down there, but and even I didn't, so I'm sorry, Audrey. But it would be great if maybe in November, and I'll see if we can get the school, if I can work that out with Zidell, so that we could do a group picture and everything, and at least have a chance to see each other in person before we, well, not adjourn for the holidays, but the last meeting of the year. Anyway, everyone keep that in mind. I'll let you know next month, and please try to make it. Next, the board meetings are shown on Alelo, first Thursday at 6 o'clock. Please know we have the Google Drive. All our information is on there. Please check it out before you come to the meeting, and it should have some good stuff, just so everyone knows. The last thing is, and look at the past minutes. It's on YouTube. The link's there. And I got to bring this up to the neighborhood commission. And Zidell, if you would note this, it is not easy to find those minutes if you search YouTube. So there needs to be some better way of labeling them or doing something so that we can find those without the link, because if you don't have the link, it's really tough. I think
videos?
that's yes. Yeah, if you
Videos?
don't have
I can
this link on YouTube, it's tough.
I can I'll share with you the main link for the YouTube, so that way
Channel?
you can.
Okay, maybe if we had the channel, that'd be great. Okay, are there any other announcements before we go? Hearing no further announcements and hearing no further board business, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Audrey, sorry I kept missing you. Sorry I kept missing you. I said sorry I kept missing you.